Here it is, late October. I'm hunting on the downwind side of a buck bedding area. I'm trying to get the dupe on a big deer I call the insider. I make a couple grunts to him, and he's in my lap. What I'm trying to do here on this hunt breakdown is teach you something about deer in general. No matter where you hunt, where you live, I don't care. If you know where does bed or bucks bed, where deer are gonna be spending a lot of time at that time of year where they're really susceptible to calling, you don't have a lot of time to hunt, just like here. You know, I had a couple days, I didn't have like weeks to be hunting a particular deer. I knew of a particular deer in this spot. We called him the insider. Didn't know much about him. He just looked like a big buck to us. You know, I'd killed a 212-inch deer earlier in the year, October 7th, and that is Ranger.
Holy cow. Look at this deer.
Just that feeling that overcomes you and how blessed you feel that, for one, we get to hunt whitetails like this. Two, to ever see a 200-inch whitetail is so rare. The last 200-inch whitetail I killed was in 2016. To even see those kind of deer like unicorns to me. But I'm on another deer. It's another new piece. It's an 80-acre section. I'd shed hunted it in the spring, found one little tiny shed that had a lot of little points on it.
Look at this freaking thing.
I mean, this is a small deer right now, but
Look at that. Dude, if that thing grows points, it'd be nuts.
what this deer did in 1 year's time is mind-blowing. Start getting some pictures of this deer, and we started naming him the insider. He's a beautiful typical. He's got points going on the inside. Looks like he's gonna be a mega to me. Can't really tell how old he is, but he looks 4.5 to 5.5 years old to me by judging his body. So I'm thinking this deer's on the shooter list. So I was pretty stoked about it. I decided that, you know, I was gonna go in and hang a Novik set, you know, close to this ditch that's in this property. When I'd scouted, I could tell where a lot of these deer were using as a bedding area. I found a lot of rub trees and different things like that. And I knew that some bigger deer were spending time in this general area, or bucks in general, going to this swampy area back and forth. So I felt confident that this was a good spot to put up a stand. And in my head, while I'm thinking about putting this stand, I didn't necessarily put the stand on a deer trail. I was trying to stay on what I would consider the downwind side of this bedding, okay? And my plan was to catch these mature bucks, hopefully see them at a distance working through this area, and then call to them and try to get them to come out to the edge, because there was a nice trail there that I could get a good open shot on. I kind of refer to it as a little bit like predator calling. I do this a lot in Kansas. I find areas, I get on the downwind sides of these thickets, or areas where I know deer should be spending time. And if it's the time of year that the deer are in the moods, calling into these spots every 45 minutes to an hour sometimes can just give you mind-blowing results. And that's what I'd planned to do in this spot. But we had snuck in there early in the morning in the dark, got into this stand that I'd hung on the downwind side of this, what I considered a bedding area, thicket area that these deer were gonna use, and see what we see.
Well, we're in Illinois. It's kind of in a stand. We're on the big bottom. Bunch of rough stuff down here, swampy. It's that time of year we're calling and things like that could really work good. Today's the 29th of October. Really gonna have to rely on our face here because the wind. We're gonna see deer this morning, I'm sure of that.
I'm excited to introduce a brand new Deer Society video series called The Art of Deer Hunting. Now within this series, we have categories such as the art of calling, the art of food plots, the art of scent control. We're gonna detail and break down all things in these categories plus more, from trail cameras, stands, scrapes, all things related to successful deer hunting is what this series is all about. This series is a culmination of all the information we've received internally from some of the best deer hunters across the country and the methods they've used to successfully harvest mature whitetails year after year. This is called The Art of Deer Hunting on the Deer Society YouTube channel.
We start to see some does already move through, and it's getting to be about 8:30, and you know, it still feels good. It's kind of a drizzly day. It's October 29th. It's that time of year. deer on their feet. I had just got a picture of this deer the day before, about 400 yards away from this spot, but I knew where he was headed. Like, I knew he was headed to this spot. Basically, I wasn't hunting cameras, but I was just hunting knowing this deer was on his feet. So we're sitting there, see a smaller buck, and then all of a sudden the smaller buck kind of starts acting weird, and it's hard to see because, like I said, it's a thicket, but I can see antlers coming, and then I see this deer kind of getting pushed off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the insider. Well, he's just kind of standing over there, so I grunt at him a couple times, and he's kind of like, he starts to react a little bit, and so that tells me right there that he's getting aggressive. And I mean, I grunted at him again because he would stop and he would stand there, and it was like he couldn't make up his mind what he wanted to do. So I kept taking the extinguisher. I would grunt again to a degree. I even made some doe bleats, and I think that is what finally broke this deer. And all of a sudden then he's like on a string. Yeah.
That deer's a lot bigger than I thought he was. That's the insider, and there's no way we could have passed that deer. Oh, Javen, I swear to gosh, dude, me and you together are insane. He's dead right there. He's dead. Yes. Mega meat. Prime. Giant buck on a rainy morning. I just hung this Novix the other day. There's all these big grubs over in here. Yeah. Yeah. The extinguisher, baby. Just kills another one. I mean, he was starting to walk the other way. I was like, got a little aggressive. Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah. You know what's so cool? Is to go into a spot like this you've never hunted in your life. Never hunted here. It's the first morning I've ever hunted this spot. And this is where I kill. Like, it just solidifies to me, like, that is what I love about this. It's like, you put everything you've learned, your knowledge, everything, and it just, you're like, right here's where I need to be. Right here. Yes. Wow. Look at that bloody arrow. Mega meat. Blew right through him. I'm only shooting like 64 pounds. That is the best sign ever, dude, right there.
Man, look at that shot, dude.
The mega meat ripped him.
This is definitely the insider.
I gotta admit though, bro, I thought he was bigger. I thought he was older too. Oh, man. It's bittersweet in a sense, I guess, because like we reviewed the footage and I looked at it and I was like, watching it, I'm like, he still looks great, but man, he looked a lot bigger in person, and I normally don't screw up. But I think I hate to, I'm not trying to take anything from the deer because this is a great deer. I'm just mad because, in a sense, because this deer probably needed a year and I took him out. It was a good hunt. I mean, I was pumped. I literally was I was more excited killing this deer than I was Ranger. And I don't know if it's because I had Javen in the tree and just the way it went down with the calling and all that. I don't know, but it was a great hunt. So I just have to
rest in that fact. And I mean, I'm happy. I'm disappointed that I took a deer like this out of the gene pool right now. I actually found this deer's shed last year, but I didn't think he could possibly grow this much in 1 year. But maybe. I mean, like, I guess it did, because there's no doubt that it's that deer. I mean, there's just no doubt in my mind. And great footage. But I guess this is just a good lesson, you know, and I don't hold back on Whitetail Edge. We show it, we talk about it, I tell the truth. I'm not gonna sit behind this deer and try to make it sound like this is some giant old buck, because it is not. This is a superstar 3.5-year-old deer. I have to remember that. Like, we're gonna make mistakes. We're humans, we're hunters. It's part of hunting, and it shouldn't always be about killing the biggest or most mature. We need to keep it fun, and that was a good lesson I feel that the good Lord taught me last year, and I'm taking that away going into 24 hunting season, that I just want to have fun. It's not about sitting behind the biggest buck and showing off on Instagram and social media. I want to hunt these deer for me. I want to hunt it for fun and get back to why I love deer hunting. Some keys to this hunt, for this hunt breakdown, are number one, I feel like being on downwind sides of bedding areas. This tactic has worked for me in multiple areas. Kansas, Ohio, Illinois, doesn't matter. It's a great tactic for that last week of October going into November. You know, if you've got 3-4 days to hunt somewhere and you got a couple places you can jump around on, this tactic will put antlers behind your tag. You know, number two is the calling. Knowing how to read a deer, playing out the scenario in this deer's head that he can't resist. You've seen multiple hunts of mine on these hunt breakdowns through Deer Society and illusion systems like the King 8, Kansas deer, where I just basically play mind games with them with the extinguisher. And that's what you have to do. You just kind of have to get in their head and you kind of have to make them do what you want. But if you're not reading their language right, if they're not reacting correctly, you got to back off, because you're just going to spook them. My whole plan was to rely on using the calling system to bring these deer to me.
Thanks for watching this Deer Society Hunt Breakdown. Subscribe to the channel for more great educational content to help you become a better hunter. From podcasts to the Art of Deer Hunting series, hunt breakdowns, tips, tactics, and a whole lot more. The Deer Society is all about deer hunting education.